As published on nondetail.com.
Parliament has unanimously passed the OBC bill, this when the Treasury benches and the opposition benches are at loggerheads on every other issue. Especially due to the issues such as Pegasus Snoopgate, farmers' bills, handling of COVID etc. But, all parties have come together and without one dissenting voice have passed the OBC bill.
Constitution 127th Amendment Bill 2021, more popularly known as the OBC Bill, and this bill basically intends to undo the effect of the Supreme Court's judgment in the Maratha quota case. So in this episode of KYC or Know Your Constitution, I'll explain to you what this amendment says and why it is attempting to overturn the Supreme Court's interpretation of another constitutional amendment. Now, this bill basically comes after the Supreme Court's interpretation of the 102nd Constitutional Amendment, which was done in the Maratha quota verdict. The interpretation came in the Maratha quota verdict, and in this judgment, in short, the Supreme Court ruled that states cannot identify and specify socially and educationally backward classes, that is SEBCs or OBCs. So, this proposed amendment now wants to give this power back to the states. Now let me tell you a bit about the 102nd Constitutional Amendment. It basically added Articles 338B and 342A of the Constitution. It gave constitutional status to the National Commission for Backward Classes. Article 338B deals with the structure, duties and powers of the Commission, and Article 342A gives the President the power to notify a class as SEBC and the power of Parliament to alter the central SEBC list, the central OBC list. Now the majority verdict in the Maratha quota verdict ruled that states in fact do not have the power to identify OBCs anymore after the 102nd Amendment, and this is especially interesting. Why? Because during this hearing, when Attorney General K.K. Venugopal appeared for the central government, he actually submitted that the intention of this 102nd Amendment was not to take away the state's powers. He argued that the state government will have their separate OBC list for providing reservations in state government jobs and education, whereas Parliament will only make the central list of SEBCs, which would apply exclusively for central government jobs without affecting the state government jobs. So here there was a center saying that the Parliament did not intend to take away the powers of the state governments when it comes to these OBC lists with this constitutional amendment, but the majority verdict did not agree with this. So what the court did was virtually to replicate the constitutional model that is followed currently for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes.
And the media is gung-ho about how BJP is now playing both Mandal and Kamandal politics. So what is Mandal and Kamandal, or rather Mandal versus Mandir? Mandal versus Mandir, year 1990. VP Singh, the then PM of India, announced his acceptance of the Mandal Commission's report, which was commissioned in 1979 by the Janata Party government led by PM Morarji Desai, with a mandate to identify the socially or educationally backward classes of India. In 1980, based on its rationale that OBCs, other backward classes, identified on the basis of caste, economic and social indicators comprised 52% of India's population, the Commission's report recommended that members of other backward classes, OBC, be granted reservations up to 27% of jobs under the central government and public sector undertakings, thus taking the total number of reservations for SC, Street and OBC to 49%. But this report was pushed into a cold storage by the Congress government. In fact, Rajiv Gandhi mentioned the report as a can of worms. VP Singh government had three power centers, Chowdhury Devi Lal, Chandra Shekhar and VP Singh himself, plus this government was supported from outside by the BJP. It is alleged that VP Singh, to cement his position, brought forward the Mandal Commission, hoping that this debate would alleviate his status within the government, as he would be seen as a messiah of the OBCs. And this left his party plus the BJP worried. Why was BJP worried? Because BJP's strength is in uniting Hindus against a certain enemy, but with Mandal debate the unity within Hindu community was falling apart. Many boys from the privileged classes immolated themselves, which led to widespread disturbances. So, dividing Hindus made VP Singh stronger and uniting Hindus made BJP stronger. As an afterthought, Lal Krishna Advani, the BJP party leader, launched his Rath Yatra for Mandir to counter the Mandal debate. Once the Mandir issue gained momentum, the Mandal issue slowly slipped away from the headlines, and subsequently the Supreme Court had put a stay on Mandal implementation. So, Mandir took the center stage and the plight of OBCs was soon forgotten. Later, Advani's Rath Yatra was stopped in Bihar by then CM Lalu Prasad Yadav. As a result, BJP pulled out its support to the central government, and VP Singh was pushed to give up his prime ministership due to the Mandal implementation issue. Now, for once, if we ignore the politics behind VP Singh bringing the Mandal issue to the fore, the issue itself was very relevant and promised social justice to at least half of the Indians. But, unfortunately, the people couldn't rise above their religious sentiments and forgot the social and economic issues. After a decade, the Supreme Court gave its judgment in this regard, which is popularly referred to as Indra Sawhney and Ors versus Union of India. The Supreme Court of India in its judgment in 1992 directed the Government of India, state governments and union territory administrations to constitute a permanent body in the nature of a commission or tribunal for entertaining, examining and recommending upon requests for inclusion and complaints of over-inclusion and under-inclusion in the list of OBCs. The Supreme Court held that the Constitution recognized only social and educational and not economic backwardness. This point here needs to be focused upon. The Supreme Court very categorically stated that the Constitution doesn't recognize economic backwardness. Still, we hear so many of us talking about reservations to be awarded on the basis of economic strata, an argument which was rejected by the Supreme Court in 1992. The Supreme Court had to state this since the Mandal Commission also recommended 10% reservations for upper castes on the basis of economic status. However, the Supreme Court rejected the reservations on the basis of economic status and agreed with reservations on the basis of social and educational backwardness. The Supreme Court also mentioned that in all rational reasoning the deprived backward castes can be assumed to be also backward in social, educational and economic status. In 2019, the Indian Parliament has overturned the Supreme Court judgment through 124th Constitution Amendment Bill, so a Shah Banu incident was not the first and the last incident of Parliament overturning the Supreme Court judgment. With the 124th Amendment, the government awarded a 10% quota of reservations on economic basis to the upper castes. It is yet to be seen if this will stand the test of legal scrutiny. And now in 2021, the Constitution, 127th Amendment, Bill 2021, commonly called the OBC Bill, has been passed with 0 dissenting votes.